All right, everybody. We are live for our weekly show, the Safely Extreme Podcast, where we discuss game design and game dev topics. As always, I am Josh Placer, and joining me is my co-host, indie game developer Sharky. How are you doing?
I am doing quite good. I am excited for the things to come. Hopefully,
Mm,
I am excited for the things to come because hopefully they
mm,
are good things. I'm
yeah,
excited if they are the good things. Is that safely extreme?
maybe.
I'm excited if they're good things coming, and I'm not excited if they're bad things. So,
Yep, it's been a whirlwind of a week in the world this past week, hasn't it?
oh yeah, it's been like three whirlwinds all at the same time for me.
Mm,
Unlike rest of the world, I have the same one whirlwind that rest of the world, well, yeah, pretty much rest of the world has, you know, and that whirlwind is not going to stop for probably another 3 months, kind of thing.
mm,
But I have other whirlwinds on top of that one, like like the new potential programmer I have on board,
nice.
you know, and several new friends that want that want to play games a lot and kind of dragging me away from things. Actually, I have another whirlwind. Of a lot more work that I did not realize I had to do for the game because apparently at some point I forgot. And I'm sitting here waiting for other people to get stuff done, and I forgot one thing or several things that I can do on my own. I have to do on my own before then. It's like, yeah, that's not good.
And so for me this week, I managed to do a little talk. Uh-oh. Did the pop-up not go up? Hopefully it did. I got the message on my notifications. Could be the bell ringing again. But,
Did nobody ring
uh,
your bell?
mm-hmm. But, gonna hopefully try to email some more libraries and schools now that the whole, this whole past week just didn't exist for any work, I think, for most people.
Yeah, well, this week existed for like epic tons of work for me.
Mm-hmm. And apparently I kicked the hornet's nest of Spelunky 2 fanboys who have
Yeah,
been egging me on for the last 4 days.
I mean, you never play hard games, do
No.
you?
Never on the hardest difficulty, right?
Yeah, you always play on one difficulty below the hardest, and the highest. The when it's not the hardest, and it's just right below that kind of thing. That means that is the highest level of easy, right? Which means that it's easiest, therefore, right?
Yeah.
So you're always playing on the easiest difficulty.
Mm-hmm. And I love when people say they try to attack me saying, "Oh, you just want the game easy. You don't know anything about the game." I say, "Yeah, I beat the game. What did you do?" And like, well, I don't want to lord over that. Okay, yeah.
I don't want
You
to
come
lord
here,
over things I didn't do.
you come to insult my game playing skills, but then you can't handle it when someone asks how far you get.
Maybe when they say they don't want to lord over, you should reply, "Then get good at playing the game."
I did. I say you need to get good at playing Spelunky.
What did they
You
say
didn't read the
after that?
comments there?
No, I did not see the comments.
Go read the comments on the Spelunky 2 video. I said, well, if you don't want to lure over me, then get good at playing Spelunky.
That's a classic.
There you go. See, I Shark's busy building his chair. I'm getting into internet wars with people.
Oh yeah, that's the other war that's going on. The whole my old chair breaking, the new chair, and having to assemble it, and having to use a handicapped one in the middle. Like that's like five whirlwinds this week for me.
There you go.
Like it's all the chaos,
Yeah.
and you
Oh,
wonder why I go for the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you right now, which is kind of a spoiler for you, Josh, because this is going to let you know in my strategy. The reason why I go for chaos is because I'm used to chaos, obviously, and I can keep track of it. My mind is used to keeping track with all these things going on at the same time, and like
Mm-hmm.
I can organize all this chaos in my head, generally kind of thing, and and while my plate forming skills are not as good as yours are, my organization with chaos is, and I know that yours isn't, so I can get you a lot with that, and I end up getting away with this scot free most of the time. So, hence all the chaos, so that you die to that and not me, and then I can focus on trying to get good at the little bit of platforming that's there.
Mm-hmm. And we finally got a supply of Dr. Brown. I say that for the nightly streams, Ryu. I need the good stuff in order to beat all those games, right?
Yeah, you need a lot better stuff because you still need to get good.
Mm-hmm. And play some hard games.
Yeah, not the easiest, which is
Mm.
right underneath the hardest.
But our main topic for today is going to be talking about the rabbit hole of playing mobile games and mobile design, which I wish we could get Ramin on, but he is still somewhere right now. I'm not sure what he's up to at the moment.
Yeah, Ramin would be probably a lot better person to talk about this than I would, but we're going to cover it as best as we can.
Hmm. But first, we got some news and some weird games to check out. So, news this week is kind of interesting. It seems as if Sega is unfortunately struggling, and
Mm-mm.
reports are saying they are not doing too well because of the pandemic.
That's not good. I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah, they have called for a voluntary retirement of employees. So that is not a good sign. And despite having some really good games, and I think as of right now, we are very close to the release of Yakuza 7, which looking forward to that one. I'm a little bit leery about being more JRPG than anything else, but it is from the Yakuza developer, so they know how to kind of get all that chaos match. I think it would be them.
Yeah, I don't think I've played a Sega game recently, but it would be devastating to lose Sega out of the marketplace.
Hmm. Definitely. I mean, they turned things around when they got out of the console market. It would be so weird having them just like drop out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. Well, so I don't know what is going on with Sega.
Yeah, I don't either. You know,
Mm-mm-mm.
I mean, are we 100% that they're having problems and they're not just doing a culling of the herd to save cost?
Yeah. And I mean, they just started porting a lot of their console games to the PC, so I mean that has gotta be helping them. Like Persona 4, Yakuza 7. When is Yakuza 7 out? Let's see. Oh, it's out in 2 days.
Yeah, something's not adding up there.
Hmm.
So it may be overblown or, some, I don't know, because, like, that doesn't seem right.
Hmm.
Either way, I hope that they don't bow out because that would be horrible.
Yeah. Let's see. The other news that is kind of something that I think is no surprise that Marvel's Avengers is not doing so well. And it's
Well,
been.
the thing is see, they're going to add in a Black Panther and two Hawkeyes and some more viable content, and that is going to save the game, according to
Hmm.
them.
Wait, how much is two Hawkeyes worth to a Hulk? What's the currency exchange?
Well, let's see here. Seeing how they have the really generic combat system that Hulk is as weak as Hawkeye kind of thing,
Hmm.
but Hawkeye has ranged, which is over melee kind of thing. So like probably each Hawkeye is like two Hulks, so like four Hulks. 2 Hawkeyes
There
is,
we
is,
go.
is 4 Hulks. Well, no, the Spider-Man was always coming, but only to PlayStation.
Yep. It'll say
Yeah,
one of the three platforms.
yeah,
Yeah. And again, some people saying that it's going to be like it's going to be like Anthem. And, Anthem will rise back up from the ashes too, right?
yeah. Honestly, I'm more hopeful for Anthem than I am for the Avengers game.
Hmm.
Because like Anthem, like there's no license tied to that. It's it has a lot of things going for it as a basic concept kind of thing. Where the Marvel Avengers game has a license that they're beholden to. Like it's like they have everything already. It's just all crap. You know,
Yeah.
like you know, like with Anthem, they just have to add more stuff and more variants kind of thing, and all this
Mhm.
kinds of other stuff, and tweak some things. Where with the Avengers, it's like they have to just get rid of everything they have and then add everything new back
Yeah.
to actually fix that one. And hence why I'm more hopeful for Anthem than Avengers. Although I'm not hopeful for either one, but
Hmm.
I think Avengers will take way more work to try to attempt to save that.
Yeah. And again, you don't want to be trying to save a live service game. Like, if a live service game dies immediately, you're kind of in big trouble.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that necessarily, but I mean, when it comes to AAA, pretty much.
Hmm.
When it comes to smaller like double A, you know, um, and indie kind of thing, I would say it depends, kind of thing. Because fact is you know it's hard to get an indie game out at all that doesn't fail on the first day.
Yeah.
So but it is a very very bad sign, and it's and it may not be worth saving, kind of thing.
Yeah. Because who's going to still. Again, like, the weird thing about it is that the single player seems all right. Like, they actually have about 40% completion rate, which for a game like that is really good.
On Marvel.
Yeah.
Well, probably the main reason why they got that is because of the story.
Yeah. And that was the point. Like, it's supposed to be, I think, more of a single player title, but it's that same catch 22 that we see, or just the same issue a lot of AAA developers do, that they think they can capitalize on all the market with a game when some games just don't work that way. Like, for like Doom Eternal, for instance, like, it was bumping and trying to do everything they can to get that whole battle mode thing to be like the next big thing, and less than 2% of the people actually played more than 25 matches of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could make any almost any game, apply to both markets, kind of thing.
Mm.
But the fact is generally that will go way outside of scope. You know,
Hmm.
because generally that means making 2 games at the same, into one.
Yep. And we all know how well that turned out with Spec Ops: The Line, right?
I don't know. I hadn't played that one.
The lead developer said that adding multiplayer to the game was like adding a cancerous tumor to their project. So
Yeah,
they really like that one.
yeah,
And yeah, I don't know. It just seems, again, like them trying to force that game. And like I said when we talk about Genshin Impact, for Genshin Impact to come out of nowhere and kind of blow all expectations out of the water is just, the knife in the back for Marvel's Avengers.
well, yeah. I mean, of course they're going to try to force it because They were trying. That was the whole plan to begin with, because
Mhm.
the whole thing is like, we've talked about it before, that you need to know your monetization before you start building, kind of thing, or at least
Mhm.
early on into your build, kind of thing. But like, you know, they didn't just know their monetization. It was more, the monetization was the game in Marvel's Avengers, and let's just slap some other crap around it to
Yeah.
convince people that it's a game, kind of thing.
And it has that very same, repetitive AAA, spit and shine, I think, to it. Like
Mm-hmm.
when we played Agents of Mayhem the other night, or Agents of Repetitiveness. And you can, we've said this before, that you can tell when the developer really goes all in with their projects. Like, and I said this last night, like, you can look at Sunset Overdrive, which feels like what Agents of Mayhem should have been, and it is just clearly the superior game.
Yeah.
I mean, even that sword game that I showed you, the dungeon crawler, like even that had like a more interesting look to it than Agents of Mayhem.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's really hard to get your aesthetics and polish and all that stuff, right. And it's also really hard to get get a budget for that kind of thing.
Yeah, but game development is easy, right?
Yeah, you just skip lunch and you have a game at the end of the day.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm going to have an interesting video going up probably Monday or Tuesday talking about kind of the role of game criticism. It's basically like a 22-minute uninterrupted rant by me going on that topic. It
Talking
should
about your
be,
spelunky.
of course, yeah. Again, read those comments when you get a chance.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and do that. I seen the video, but I did not read the comments.
There you go. But let's get into some weird games because we got a lot to talk about with the mobile design. We'll probably rope back Genshin Impact into it. So this time, I actually went a step ahead and got the window already, so no needing to skip here.
So did I.
hmm So the first one that I chose is Shadowplay Metropolis Foe. That looks like it has all the cyberpunk one game could have. We got so much purple on that screen right there.
Yeah.
I can't really tell what's going on in this cutscene or in this thumbnail beyond the fact that all the text is in Chinese.
Yeah. I mean, this is something I am currently learning right now and getting pointed out to me on my current art pieces and everything. But you don't, like, you have all this bright on the outside, kind of thing, on the two edges, and then you have all this dark in the middle. But this
Yeah,
dark area is where you're supposed to be looking at, but your eyes are being drawn away by the
the
brightness.
neon and the purple. Yeah,
Yeah, so you have to balance that in such a way that it draws the eyes where you want them, where you need them to be drawn, and that's something I'm definitely fighting with and struggling with to learn and implement into our game right now,
yeah.
because there's
I
lots of
just
neon in it.
Here's a question for you and for the people watching this live recorded. As I'm looking at the screenshot, I'm just imagining there's just like this rocking synthwave background music going on right now. Because I play so many Cyberpunk-esque games. Like, do you hear that music in your head right now?
No, but like I can picture it.
hmm
I can picture it in my game too. So,
I mean, again, like this is one of those games that aesthetically it looks very clean. Like, it doesn't look like a low quality game in any of these screenshots. But the problem with games like this, it's kind of hard to know what am I doing. I see cards. I assume the upper left number is like a mana or an energy, but anything else happening?
well, in the what is it? The third screenshot, it looks like RPG based combat, kind of like
hmm
a Slay the Spire kind of thing.
Yeah, you can see looks like unit predictions on the top of each one of these enemies.
Yeah. And then if you look at the second one, I mean, that does kind of look like the Slay the Spire node-based maps kind of thing.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what this one is. It's uh, Slay the Cyberpunk.
There you go. Yeah, I think you may be right, Ryu. Cyberpunk is the new zombies. And another reason I chose this game was the description in the second paragraph. You've most likely never come across a card game with such an extensive plot before. A plot with hundreds of thousands of words. And it is no bedtime story at that. Shari, is Neon Continuum a bedtime story?
I mean, there is one bedtime story in there. You know, when you have this one character talking to this other character, and you know, she's much younger and everything, and you know, she has a bullet wound, and you know, the one character tells her a bedtime story as she dies.
Okay. And you better have at least tens of hundreds of thousands of words in your game.
Yeah, we may actually have that, but I don't know.
I did get the press key for that other cyberpunk hacking CCG we looked at last week that I'll be playing on this Wednesday's Indie Spotlight.
Yeah, and to Ryu's point about you know that Cyberpunk is going to be the new zombies, I have been saying that for the last what year,
Yeah.
and I have been fearing it for the last year because I'm trying to get my game out before the flood, before the stores are flooded. Because once everybody goes, not another zombie game, not another space game, not another zombie
Only
game,
Cyberpunk.
not another
Mm-hmm.
Cyberpunk game, that's the moment my game pretty much dies if it hasn't released yet.
Yep.
And yeah, that is trouble incarnate. You know, train flying right at my face for the last year, and I have been desperately trying to avoid it. And
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to.
Mm.
And
Maybe you can even see Project to hold back Cyberpunk for another 4 months on top of their 3 month delay.
I can only hope.
And speaking about zombies, I think we have Corridor. Don't you love this first thumbnail?
Oh yeah, that is
Oh, here's the second.
Black the game. Oh, that's Black the game too. That's the Black the game. Oh, if
And
you
this
look
is-
at the fourth screenshot, it's not Black the game anymore. We're playing a completely different game at this point.
Yeah. And then we're back to
Did Black the game
mm-hmm.
and Black
Oh,
the
and a
game.
box. And it looks like there's a dead body in the final thumbnail.
Yeah, the final two are the two that are not Black the game,
Yeah.
which they look like the exact same hallway.
Yes.
It's like, do you just move up 2 feet and then like the dead body pops in? Yeah, is that the pop in?
Yeah. And I love the store marking points. The game has many features. It has unreal immersion, realism of sound, and game mechanics. The game has game mechanics.
Wait, this has Unreal immersion?
Yeah.
That means there's no immersion, right? Because if it's Unreal, then that means it's not real, which means that it's not immersive. So it's not immersive.
Mm-hmm. It has history to it. Long hours of gameplay.
I mean, history. I mean, like, are we going to be learning about the year that that the Civil War started?
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to be learning the year that that World War One started? Is this a learning? Is this one of those learning games?
Yeah, it's an edutainment horror.
Yeah,
There we go. I just created a new genre: edutainment survival horror.
Boy, wouldn't that be just edgy horror?
There you go. Come on, somebody make that. We just did.
Well, I mean, they already have. I mean, they have defined a new genre here.
Mm-hmm.
They are breaking. And they didn't even list it that they were creating a new genre.
Yeah.
I mean, all these other people are, you know, listing that they created a new genre, you know, where you jump from platform to platform.
And speaking about jumping from platforms and whatnot, we have Landflix Odyssey. which,
Is that related to Netflix?
oh yes, looks like it's platformer plus memes.
So does that
Landfill
make it a
doesn't.
meme former?
There you go, with meme former gas.
Yeah.
It's a clear reference to video-on-demand platforms. 5 worlds, 10 boss fights, an incredible set of unforgettable, unique enemies and boss. Okay? And secret content to unlock.
I mean, it's obviously not very secret. They just listed it right there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't call that a secret when it's visible to all the public to just see right there. I mean, like that's that's not a secret.
I mean, the art doesn't look too bad. Some of these screenshots look a little busy to me.
I mean, like the one with the chicken and
Yeah.
food. Look at the KFC guy they put on the bucket.
Yeah. Mm.
Looks like the evil Colonel Sanders.
His evil twin.
Yeah.
Alright, so this next game, rule number 1, which with like the art of these characters, looks like if I keep on the screen too long, we'll probably get a DMod for it. First-person shooter version of Geometry Wars.
You know, are you seeing any kind of clashing here in this first screenshot?
Yeah.
Like a pixel art gun in hand and like fully
3D.
rendered 3D everything else.
And the UI looks like it's just assets up here and down here.
Oh, I can almost guarantee you that's assets. You know, probably almost everything in here or everything in here is an asset.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't Geometry Wars have a very different gameplay loop?
Mm-hmm.
How is this Geometry Wars? Is this just Geometry Wars in the fact that you are shooting geometry?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and I do like how the screenshot of the robot lady seems to have like no relation to what we're seeing on screen. Mm.
Oh, and there's 2D pixel art enemies too.
Yeah.
Mm. At least you can dual wield in the last screenshot.
Apparently, this is an RPG. So this next game
Is it
I
also a visual
chose.
novel?
What was that?
I said, is it also a visual novel?
Maybe. This next one I chose because I think this could hint at maybe a underwater cinematic universe of a platforming. Because maybe the next game will be Shark. So this is Shrimp, but SHRIMP. So I don't know if that's supposed to stand for anything other than shrimp.
Small something 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 something. There we go.
I am really confused about that mechanics paragraph. The stereo is the most important element to calming the shrimp, taking away the anxiety. Listening to music on the stereo is not mandatory. Anxiety plays a significant role on levels that contain entities such as the porcelain ghost and false car. What the heck is a false car?
It's a car that isn't actually a car. So it's like a truck.
And
or
the
a
game
train
explains.
or an airplane.
Okay. The game explains what the porcelain ghost does, but it doesn't explain what the false car does. So now I'm really confused. Oh, the shrimp can evolve and gain newer abilities.
I gotta go back to that first part. The stereo is the most important element, and then it goes on to the next, and it's the stereo is not mandatory on all levels. So is it the most important or not mandatory at all? Which one
I
is
think
it?
that's safely extreme.
Yeah, I think it is.
I love these screenshots. Because I'm looking like at 4 different games here.
Just 4. It looks more like 8 to me.
Look on the last thumbnail. Why is there a W? Just like a random W there.
Maybe that's how you get the W. How you win. You just gotta get the W.
I like the difficulty selection.
I mean, just make sure you don't get the L.
Mm-mm. What about the G for getting good?
Yeah, you'll never get that.
Mm-hmm. The screenshot with like the 4 is the... There's a lot of screenshots. 3, 6, 7. The 8th screenshot. I have no idea what's going on in it. All these like icons on the screen. Is it supposed to be like a battle?
Okay. So my theory is there's this scorpion like thing, and that's like your third person over the shoulder camera view of your shrimp, right? And see the 4 things on the side is your sort of rock paper scissors system, but it's the 4 elements system: fire, wind, water, and earth, right? And your shrimp has become a avatar kind of thing,
There we
and,
go.
and is now using all it's a airbender, waterbender. It can bend all things, right? And see down in the corner, you see like each of the bender ones, and that's like your mana for each one of your bender spells.
I just noticed that it looks like the arm or the model of the scorpion is like going inside the shrimp.
Yeah, I like how you just transitioned completely off of that in order.
Fire shrimp.
Don't forget the water, wind, and earth bending.
All right, so this next one, before I switch over, just kind of a sensitivity warning for this next game. So if you are sensitive to like a lot of weird effects, you may want to look away. This is Space Hole 2020. And if anyone can tell me what's happening in this first thumbnail, you may be on drugs.
Well, let me tell you what's happening here. They put things in the game.
Mm-hmm.
They smoked a lot of things. They snipped a lot more after that. And then they're like, okay, we should put all that into the game. So they put it all into the game. That's what's happening here.
What is this game? Is it an actual game?
If it is an actual game, could you actually play it?
Without vomiting.
Oh, actually, I get it now. I get it. I get the whole purpose of the whole concept behind the game. This is one of the games that you're supposed to blind run.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to put a blindfold on and just go at it blindfolded.
Yeah.
That's what kind of game this is. It's a blind run game, So, Josh, get your blindfold out and get a key for it. Oh,
There
if
we
you
go.
look at what is that? The fifth 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, fifth screenshot. Is that a GameStop photo in here?
Yes, that is.
I'm sure that's perfectly legal.
Mm-hmm. So this is a copyright. Yeah, and I was about to say that to you. That game that we played was just all visual effects, like making everyone have a migraine playing it. Because remember, if you give your audience a migraine, it makes the game difficult, so it makes the game good, right?
Yeah. Well, if you force them to play blindfolded, it makes it hard.
Yeah.
Which makes it good.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not even going to scroll down on the page.
Yeah, don't do that. You'll hurt your eyes, too.
Yeah.
All right, so the next one is Just Old. and I just like find a way out and save the poor old man. But you play as a nimble old man. Wait, just holds a platform that you play as a nimble old man in which the body of a very young man is enclosed. What does that mean? It's like a Russian nesting doll?
I think it means that the old man, his soul died and then got implanted with the soul of a young man, and that's the reason why he can move so good.
I love
I thought it was the inverse that was true. Where you have the young man's body and then you implant the old man's soul into it, and then he could move good. I didn't think that he was just a soul that was causing the body to move, slowly. I figured it was the decrepit muscles and bones and brittle and whatnot that was causing the issues, not the soul being around for so long.
I like the final thumbnail, just like this like very tall guy just like looking angry at the old man.
I think this is a game for you, Josh, because it's old man Josh.
That's what I was going to say. And the feature of game, hardcore, nice pixel art, boss. That's all we get in this one.
Yeah. I have to kind of argue about the nice pixel art.
Mm-hmm.
I
see a whole lot of pixels, though.
Yeah.
Mm.
And looking at the platforms and everything in here, I'm not seeing any hardcore either. And looking at the last screenshot, assuming that's a boss, I'm not really seeing a boss here. I'm just seeing a bald man who is not the boss. I mean, he might be the boss of you at your 9 to 5, but he's not the boss of you in your everyday life.
I don't know why he's like 2 times taller than the old man.
Yeah, the old man is a midget, and the other guy is like just giant, So like, the old man is actually like 3 foot tall, and the other guy is like, I don't know, like 8.
All right, so my final weird game, then we'll move on to sharks. Is wait, where's my lunch? And you thought the thumbnails couldn't get any better, people? I think we all know they did. What the? I think this screenshot right here, the third one, will probably get me demodded. Oh my.
How do you like the rakes? And how do you like it, how he's holding it with his wrist and his hand all the way through it?
This is an over-the-top stealth adventure game.
And alert, on that last one, alert that whatever that is following you. Like,
it's not even an exclamation point. We couldn't even get that.
Yeah, it's missing the dot underneath it. I mean, is that supposed to be a zombie? Is that supposed to be an old man? Is that supposed to be just somebody who, I don't know, splashed green paint on their face? Is it?
These are all original assets, right?
Is it supposed to be somebody who fell into the toilet and just got out and he's pissed? Like what is that? What is that guy? The character?
I don't know, but where's your lunch?
I don't know, but I hope that weird person does not have it.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I have confirmed my answer. It's supposed to be a zombie because in the third screenshot, if you read it without clicking on it, it says if a zombie steps on a rake, it will stagger them.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why you take a rake and pick it up in your hands and then slam it across their head, right? Because that's stepping on it, right?
Yeah. And the next one, his hand is actually sticking through the rake.
Mm-hmm. And that's how you stick your hand through the rake and you pick it up over the zombie's head, and that's how you get them to step on the rake.
Yeah. All right. So with that, let's go to Sharks games. And the first one is Book of Beasts, the collectible card game. And this is one that, like, looking at these thumbnails, it looks suspiciously like somebody else's game.
Yeah, it looks like a triple triad.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like Neon Continuum to a point, but like they're not using stats. They're using just just
Gems.
symbols.
Yeah. Over 60 cars. Don't you like these zoomed in screenshots of the icons?
Where's that at? Oh, I just go down. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that is really great. You know, especially seeing how they have all the anti-aliasing and everything in there. Instead of putting like the full high-res quality there and just mocking up something, they just zoomed hyper into the anti-alias version in the game.
Yeah. Oh, when you go down to scoring, I like how you can just barely make out the words as those explain how things work. Build decks of your card collection. Oh, good. So I think one thing is going to be very interesting. I think you're going to have to deal with this with Neon Continuum. Is that you're going to have to explain to people what makes your game different. Like, where is the depth of play? Because this game doesn't seem to do it all that much, at least in these descriptions.
Yeah, and we won't be able to do that in our trailer either,
Hmm.
because the trailer will, have very little uh, as of directly teaching players kind of thing. It'll be probably over, it'll be all polished basically, animations, cut scenes, movies, that kind of thing, where we'll have to save, like that kind of thing for the description and such. And of course, we'll be enabling the UI and whatnot in the few action shots of the game, kind of thing.
Yeah.
To help that, we'll make sure none of the UI is cut off or anything like that.
Yeah.
At least as much as we can.
What do you make of the final thumbnail with this like very generic looking guy with like the most eerie smile I think I've seen today?
Oh,
That's the real horror. That's scarier than any of the other horror games we played, or at
yes,
least
it is. We need a horror game like that.
just
Run a
probably
bunch of
like eat you.
run a bunch of characters like that.
Mm-hmm.
A warm welcome to you.
Feel the burn. All right, so our next one is park the car with 50 levels.
Because we know more levels make it better, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is clearly not a mobile game because like that platform there, that gray concrete platform is not in the exact shape of a mobile phone.
Oh, and it's just a gesture-based UI too,
Mm-hmm. It's clearly not a mobile game. It's clearly a PC game.
especially with the home button at the upper left.
Yeah,
Mm,
because we all know PC games have that kind of thing.
mm-hmm. Oh, but it is a simulation game.
Yeah, you're simulating parking a car.
And it's sports.
Yeah, I mean it is totally sports. I meant like, have you never gone to the Olympics and entered the parking your car event in the front parking lot and the back parking lot? See, they have like so many parking lots there because like it's such a big event that they have to have multiple arena sports. So they have all these parking lots all around the Olympics that you have to go to and enter, and you have to to even get into the Olympics, you have to participate in that event. It's a
Mhm.
mandatory event to park in your car.
Also, did you notice that it used none of the assets change as you go up in level, only the color. You're in the white area, now you're in the green one. And here's the tan.
Yeah, just the basically grass color.
Mm-hmm. Mm. And I'm not. I have to ask if this next one, did you pick it just because of its name in relation to this one? Is where is my parking spot? Is this the prequel or the sequel to the last game?
I think this is probably the better version of that because this one is, you know, you have to, park your car and it's got to be your right spot. See, so like before, you didn't have to find the right spot. This one you have to find your right spot, and like there's ramps and like looks like people might even try to run you over as you're trying to do it. It's the harder version.
What is with the names of these cars? One of them is called I'm Speed. Another one is You Tried.
Where are you
Kitty.
seeing that at?
The fourth and fifth thumbnails. One car is called Bumpy.
Pumpy and Drifter.
And Dizzy. Mm. Do you like the basic assets on the text?
What about the kitty one?
Mm-hmm.
And Hex.
Mm.
There's a ghost one too.
Oh, you need that special parking spot. Parking has never been cooler. Oh, if you scroll all the way down, you can see some amazing art too.
Of a cart.
And Cone. That just killed my eyes right there.
And the roadblock. Because we know confusing tire tracks all over there that has all this kind of shit will not distract from anything that you put on top of it.
But Ryu, does Monster Hunter add a parking cone to it with those additional levels?
Yeah, it has to have a parking mini game into it, where you have to find your parking spot. You got to park your dragon or your monster.
Let's see.
There's a sequel right there, Monster Parker.
There we go. All right, so this is Suuna of Ruin. From quick look, it doesn't look all that bad.
Yeah,
some of the art looks really nice.
This one has potential.
Let's see about the game. I don't know what Asti Breed is. Have you ever heard of that one?
It sounds familiar. Where are you seeing that at?
Oh, just in time.
Car alarm?
Yeah. Don't worry, it should end in a second.
Oh, you're talking about the Breed game. I believe I actually own that one. I need to look real quick.
Okay, there we go. Finally stopped. Oof.
Yeah, I do own that game.
Yeah, I don't think I have that one.
Let me look at it. Okay, I remember this game. It was really well polished. It's like a side-scrolling shooter. And it looks amazing. And I think that it plays really good, but the controls are completely horrible and not configurable. And I bounced off of it because of that. So I never got far, but it has it's very, it's almost like Gundam, the side-scrolling shooter kind of thing.
I put in a key for it. It is being published by Marvelous, and they're usually good at. Man, that's actually a really good point. Where we just talked all about cars, and the car alarm goes off. Somebody's watching this here.
They're listening.
So as I was saying, it is published by Marvelous, and they're usually good at finding very niche and unique games that can really appeal to people. Like the what is it? The fourth thumbnail looks really nice.
Let me see.
With her jumping to attack this dragon looking thing.
The dragon skeleton thing.
The art, in a way, reminds me of Legend of the Mystical Ninja. Maybe just because of the heroine having like the blue hair, like Goemon.
Is that blue hair? That was
Blue,
purple.
purple. It's kind of hard to tell because of all the lighting and shading here.
Yeah, it is. I think it's purple, but it's purple because if you look at the third screenshot, you can see blue there.
Yeah.
It is definitely purple.
So this one could have some potential. We'll see if we get a press key for it.
Yep, I put one in myself.
All right, and then for the final game, we have Wasteland Raiders, single-player strategy game by the maker of Age of Gladiators, which I don't recognize that name.
There's probably a reason behind that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you can look at the stilted-looking characters and see why.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of bullet points in this, but does any of this actually like matter to the game?
I mean, from the screenshots alone, it looks like it could be a good game, just not the best aesthetically. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I see a lot of weird icons, it uses its own symbology for that UI. I don't like this UI that I'm seeing. It just looks like a lot of weird buttons that you have to memorize what each one does.
Yeah.
And I bet, like, as you were just saying, like, these character models look like they're going to be very stilted, maybe like one or two animations and that's it.
Yeah, just when you attack, it moves the hand back and just, comes down. And it'll probably be very stilted because the body probably won't move. The body won't move.
Wait a minute.
But it'll slide.
Wait a minute. That Age of Gladiators sounds very familiar. Did I play that one? No. I played a Gladiator game. I remember we played this one on stream. And it had like character models that looked very much like this. I don't know. Let's see. Can we look up anything? Maybe. No, it's not on Keymailer.
But they have like this, custom art for their page here. So it shows they clearly put effort into it.
Yeah. I think I'll put in a key for it. Again, you never know. Like, again, like that final upgrade game, we didn't really like look too much into it from the thumbnails, and we were both very surprised by it.
Yeah, I was surprised by it, and then I was like, "Josh, you need to check this out."
Huh? I'll put in for it. We'll see what happens.
I have a feeling it might be a solid game, but won't do well because of aesthetics and whatnot.
Yeah, I like the what was it? 3-6. The ninth thumbnail. You can choose what atrocity to commit. Everyone gets an atrocity.
Ninth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That one.
You get an atrocity, and you get one.
Yep, you all get atrocities.
It kind of seems like the nuclear option would be like the best one. Like, it's not really a choice. I mean, if you're going to commit an atrocity, like nuke kind of like beats all, right? In the rock paper scissors theme.
Yeah, it's like rock paper scissors or freaking grenade.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it does. Again, like this is what we say about a lot of these games. Like as a strategy fan, I can see like what they're going for. I can kind of make sense of what these screenshots are meaning, but nothing is sticking out like saying I need to play this game.
Mm-hmm.
And that is ultimately going to be the challenge for a lot of indie developers. Is you have to convince somebody to play your game
or to buy your game,
and
then play it after that.
Yeah. All right.
I know I bought like 3 or 4 games, 5 games recently, something like that, and I have not played a single one.
I bought about 20 games from all those Fanatical bundles. But at least I have the excuse of the stream I can, make everyone else suffer along with me.
Yeah.
All right. But will pop out here? It seems like it's a very quiet sign. I think people are still de-stressing after this past week.
Yeah, and I mean, they're they're going to be re-stressing tomorrow because there will
Mhm.
be. I'm sure there will be lots of crap going on tomorrow. That will
Oh, yes.
that is still the thing that we're de-stressing about, and I'm sure
Hmm.
that will be every day.
For another 70 or so days.
Yeah.
Hmm. But with that, let's get to our main topic, because I'm sure people will be watching this recorded once they've all calmed down. And that is the rabbit hole of mobile games and mobile design. As we've been talking about, when it comes to mobile games and their kind of design, they're very much aimed at the long term play. And there's, I think, several different ways we can start this. So I guess for you, Shark, because I think you probably spent more and looked at more of these games than I have. Where do you want to begin with this topic?
Huh. Maybe with like my personal like history and experience on such a thing, so that we can have like a context
Mhm.
of when I actually went down this rabbit hole. So like in my history, I have not been one to. I've been one to play a lot of these free to play games, especially way back when. And but like I've never been one to pay in them. Like I have played tons and tons of games like these. Whether they're the mobile versions, whether they're the free to play browser version of game kind of thing. Like I think it's like
Hmm.
League of Angels or something along that lines. O game, the old what do you call that? Uh, the old what was the old version of like the kind of the first version of the MMO kind of thing? The kind of like
I know what you're
Blackboard
talking
game or
about.
something.
Multi-user mud, I think they're called.
Yeah, muds. That's what I'm looking for. I played tons of muds back in the day, which technically falls under this kind of thing. Fell, and all kinds of stuff like that. And you know, out of I've played probably I don't know, if you count like total server numbers that I've played on, probably somewhere in the high hundreds, if not thousands, kind of thing. And out of all that, I have paid in exactly three of them. And one I paid $20 for a set of wings, and then that was it. That was the end of it. Another one was the same game at a different server. I paid for a set of wings and a couple other things, and then found out that they completely screwed me over on those things and got a refund for all of it.
Yeah.
And then the recent one was when I fell down the rabbit, let myself purposely fall down the rabbit hole of this Bleach Immortal Souls game. And and keep in mind that all this manipulation is not just in video games. This also applies to like going to the grocery store, because when you go to the grocery store, they are going to manipulate you by placing things that you want far away, so you have to walk through the entire store, pass through all these things, kind of thing, and you're going to be the end caps are set to grab your eye. Everything at eye level is meant to grab your eye, and the things that they don't want you to buy is at the very very top and the very very bottom, kind of thing. And I'm sure most people watching this are have been victim to this, to where you've gone into the store to buy one particular thing, you leave the store with a whole buggy full of things and not the one thing you went in there for. That is their manipulation of you.
And I think, like, to build off of that, I want to get to Amir's comment in a second. Like, that's always been like the weirdest thing for me is that you would think somebody like me who plays video games day in and day out, like I would fall for all the achievement stuff, the gamification, all those little sleight of hands,
Mm-hmm.
and it's never worked on me. Like I am that guy who goes into a supermarket and if my list has three things on it, I'm getting those three things and walking out. Like I just go laser focused. And it's the same thing with a lot of the mobile games that I play. That I wrote this in a post that when they show $99 best deal or act now, you have to get this in the next 24 hours. It's going to go away forever. My brain just tunes all that out.
Yeah,
And
mine too. I mean, like I do occasionally, fall into something like that, but I fall into it because I want to. It's like I'm going to the grocery store, I'm getting all these things on my list, and then I see one thing. It's like, yeah, that looks like that tastes really good. It looks like it's affordable for my budget. Let's let's give it a try and try something new, kind of thing.
yeah.
And then if I like it, I'll keep on buying it. If I don't, then I won't, kind of thing.
And I think another aspect of this, and I think this is a good time to pull up Amir's comment about the business model for mobile games. And this is a very interesting point. I did a post about mobile games last week on Game Wisdom. I think it's also going to be going up on Medium soon. And in that post, I talked about how kind of third generation mobile games have really changed how they appeal to people. So we keep on this kind of analogy. First generation is the pre-smartphone era. So most of you watching this will never or have never played any of those games. I'm sure we have a huge Nokia N-Gage fan base watching this, right, Shark?
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of them, right?
Yeah.
I used to play the heck out of Snake on there.
And those horrible ports of Splinter Cell and Assassin's Creed.
They had those on there?
Yeah. Never played it. I'm not. I guess it means I'm not a true gamer, right? Because I never played the N-Gage.
Yeah. I only played on my Nokia flip phone and the default games that were on there. The Snake and whatnot.
The second generation is what a lot of people consider mobile games to be. So this is the casual age, and pretty much most of the last decade. So Clash of Clans, Angry Birds, Jetpack Joyride, a lot of puzzle, games that are aimed at non-gamers, and that's where a lot of people consider mobile games to be, and it was very lucrative. Again, Angry Birds made a little bit of money, right?
Just a couple dollars.
Yeah, and the point and what kind of led to where we see the third generation is that the problem is that when you aim your games at non-gamers, you build no consumer loyalty. Because a non-gamer doesn't really care about the game or the studio in the same way as us hardcore gamers do. Again, we have our favorite studios and our favorite, genres. When we see another, when Shark smells a strategy RPG in the water, he's going after that with his teeth baring, right?
Yeah. And sadly, a lot of the ones that came out recently have not been very good, in my opinion. It makes me really sad because I could really sink my teeth into a good one.
And I want a really good dungeon crawler. That's why I bought 4 of them from Fanatical, and not one of them looks to be kind of going forward with that design. And this takes us to what third generation mobile is. That third generation mobile games are aimed at us. They're aimed at the people who play these games hardcore. That's not going to be a game meant for your mother or your grandparent. And these games typically have, I know this is going to shock a lot of you, it has gameplay to it. There is decision making. It's not just whoever spends the most money automatically wins. And these titles are doing really well. Some of the games I include on this thumbnail, with exception to Marvel Strike Force, have all came out globally, I think, within the last year or two. Sir Lane, Guardian Tales, Illusion Connect. And when you look at the screenshots and the thumbnails for those games, they look very much like console or PC games. The polish is there in terms of graphics.
Yeah, now
And
that you say all that, it makes me think that, the game I'm currently developing is a third generation mobile game because like it's not a mobile game at first, it's a PC game and then we're going to do a
yeah,
port to mobile. It's also going to be on VR and everything.
yeah,
And there should be no really decline because like it's not a, heavy, graphically intense game, but it does I think look really good kind of thing.
yeah. I mean, for those of you like, when you look at the thumbnails for Illusion Connect, it looks very high quality. Look at Genshin Impact. That game is played on mobile. I mean, imagine saying to somebody 10 years ago that something like Genshin Impact is going to be on mobile at some point.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild on mobile.
Yeah.
Well,
And
actually, thinking about it, that's exactly what the Switch is.
yeah.
Matter
And
of fact,
this,
I heard something that the Switch was actually weaker than smartphones are nowadays.
yeah. And that is kind of what's very crazy. I think going back to Amir's comment that third generation mobile games aren't, you know, the kiddie version of other genres. They're not the lesser version. They're trying to be as big of a name, as big of a market as they can be with that design.
Hmm.
And it's very fascinating to see how the monetization has changed. Because again, when we talk about second generation mobile game, monetization is usually about paying to be less annoying. Quote unquote fun pain, pay or wait, having to scroll through ads in order to get resources. It's very much designed to make your game less annoying. What we're seeing from third generation games, and Simon, do you have any examples of hyper casual? Because I'm not too familiar with that term. But when we look at third generation games like Genshin Impact, Asura Lane, and so on, when you spend money, it is about getting something good. It's about getting value. That's not just pure power. And that is a very big point. That this is something that we see from a lot of this third generation. I've played Genshin Impact, Asura Lane, Illusion Connect, and so on. And in those titles, what they do is getting a 5-star or SSR character by itself is meaningless. Yes, they have higher than normal base stats, but just that one character in the ether is not going to help you. And for you, Shark, with Bleach Immortal Souls, like a lot of that game, I'm sure, is about team building and figuring out, proper compositions.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like you have the kind of pay to win characters kind of thing where they're really powerful and everything, but you can't like they alone will do a lot for you,
Mm-hmm.
but when you get into the the higher ranks and everything,
Like mid game to end game kind of.
or high ranks, as in like the top 20 kind of players kind of thing. Just having powerful characters is not enough because you have to have powerful characters in such a way that does not allow has a strategy and everything. Like my last team strategy was basically I had Old Man Yamamoto that did hit all their team and would deal fire damage and had a potential I think like a 30% chance of stun. Then I had Nell, which would hit all their characters and it would give them 2 bleeds, and it would also like every one of her different attacks add bleed to them, and which would run out at the end of the turn. But for every bleed or every status effect that was on them, she would do more damage with some of her attacks. And then I had who else did I have? I had a White Ichigo, which he did bleed to everybody again, and he would do more damage to some characters when they bleed. And then I had like
Hmm.
Ichigo's dad, who only hit, I think it was 2 characters, but he inflicted bleed on them, and he
Which
would trigger a bleed on everybody every time he did his special attack. So that would get rid of one of the bleeds, but it would turn it into damage on them. And then I had like Unohana up front, which, I built her to have very, very little HP kind of thing. And it's meant for her to die. Because when she dies, she has an effect that says everybody on my back row gets like a 20 or 25% buff, which is like insanity. And I had all my big area attackers in the back. And not only that, but then I put a war soul on her that meant when that war soul said if that character dies, the enemy's back row all gets a big debuff. So like she was meant to die fast and just severely buff me, severely debuff them, and just, and
yeah.
the fact is, the second she died, it was pretty much over.
So, for those of you listening to this right now, that sounds like a min-max optimization to me. That sounds like something we would see in a strategy or an RPG game, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it is an RPG.
Yeah. And that's the point, that with the games that we're seeing from third generation, there is depth to these systems. And to Simon's comment about hyper casual, I don't play them. I don't play too many casual mobile games. I'm sure they still do well for non gamers. And the big point about how monetization has changed for these games is that you're not paying for power, you are paying for customization. And those two may sound similar, but they are very different in a key aspect. When you pay for customization, you are looking to buy something that, excuse me, sorry about that. You are looking to pay for something that works for you. And when you're paying for power, it is just flat, I need to buy this and everything goes better. And what we see from a lot of the mobile games today, or the ones that are starting to kind of pop off, is that it is very much allowing players to get in the weeds or in the reeds of learning these systems.
And
With
strategies.
Illusion, I'm sorry?
And strategy.
Yeah. With Illusion Connect, for instance, I go for a heavy summon-based build. So all my characters will summon additional units onto the field. So one of them, she puts down 2 puppet characters who not only tank, but they also provide buffs to everybody else. And I just got a character who is a tank that when they go on the field, they bring back somebody who's been killed. So if my character dies, I just bring this one on the field. Not only does she tank for me, but then I get back my annoying character who's going to piss off the enemy team even more.
Yeah. I had a tank on my team too, Ukawara, who was a tank who caused them to bleed, as well as healed all my units, killed my lowest HP units whenever you damaged one specific enemy on their side, marked by a mark on his skill. And that goes for any character that damages that. Whenever anybody damages that one particular character that's been marked, Ukawara will heal the lowest HP character.
Yeah. And this, again, feeds into the monetization of these games. That when a new banner shows up, what's going to happen is one of 2 things. A, it's a character that belongs to a strategy that you have no interest in, so I don't care about it. Or B, it's a character that fits your strategy to a T, and then you're basically, I will give this game all the money to get this one character.
Yeah. And that's very much what I've seen in that game. That's what I've seen happening. And, free players would, and even paying players would save up for these events. And then the event would come out and they would just spend. Whether it's, stuff they saved up they're spending or stuff they're paying to add to it.
Yeah.
And if you want to, we can go down the rabbit hole of my experience with that, or are you not ready for that yet?
We'll talk about that next.
Okay.
But to keep on this point, that what we see is this idea that in the old days of playing these mobile games, premium currency was at a premium. Like you could not get it within the game. Maybe you'll get 5 or 10, and it costs like 400 for a pool.
Mm-hmm.
What we see today is that these games are a lot more generous in terms of the free to play currency. That in many cases, if you play the game daily, you should be able to get a 10 pull maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, give or take, of playing this game. And by letting more people get access to the gacha or get access to the banners, it allows them to become more invested in the game quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I think, is another major point. That when I look at some of the other examples of mobile games, South Park Phone Destroyer, that Command and Conquer game, Marvel Strike Force, Contest of Champions, they very much essentially try to just like drag the money out of you. They're saying, if you want to get good at this game, you better start paying now. And then once you become invested, then, here's all this grind. What we see from the mobile games today is we want to get you invested first, and then we hope you spend the money.
Yeah. I do. Like, the getting you invested, getting you hooked first is like, the thing that once they get the hooks into you, it's very hard to get them out.
And that is something that, again, if we say Ramin's name enough times, maybe he'll just show up in the chat.
We
But,
just got to get him here to say it into.
yeah, like I've spoken to Ramin about this. That psychology-wise, it's about a 2 week or 14 to 15 day investment. That is the magic number, or that's the magic time that they figure out that psychology or psychiatry. Wow, I can't talk. That from human psychology, that if you're still invested in something after that amount of time, you're kind of going to go all in after it. And mobile games are about getting you to that point. This is why just about every mobile game that we've seen, they do rapid investment day one. It's not about making you feel bad or forcing you to struggle in a mobile game. Everyone immediately starts you off with free rolls and, super exclusive gotchas, and, you level up incredibly fast because they want to build that investment. If you, at any point in those 14 days, if you are annoyed or you don't want to play this game, you're going to uninstall it probably the second the game begins to annoy you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And it's also why commonly we see the games that develop well, or that a lot of the audience of these games is either going to be new players cycling in, or kind of the old guard / whales who've been playing it for 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever, and they're not leaving. They have become fully invested in this game.
Yeah. So are you ready to dive into it?
Yeah, and I have another point after we talk about money spent and such.
All right. So, I gave the little intro about how, I'm not one to kind of fall into this, just like Josh is not.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was playing Bleach Immortal Souls. I was really enjoying it and everything. And I was like, well, I do need to do research for my current game because I'm trying to build a consumer-friendly model of a game. And how do I, I know the bad practices and everything from the outside and everything. But knowing it from the outside is very, very different than knowing it from the inside. Like I can look at, these loot boxes and be like, yeah, I mean, that's stupid. There is basically 0 odds to get these things unless you just spend epic tons of money. I mean, it's stupid. Why would you ever do that kind of thing? Mm-hmm. And that why, and like all the other details that go with it, is what you learn when you let yourself go down that rabbit hole. So
Mhm.
What I did is I specifically just, purposely walked into that trap. And I was like, okay, here I am. I think I was 10th in the leaderboard and everything.
Mhm.
And I knew that the top 10 people to get, the first 10 people rather to get, like, I think it was 100,000 points, will get the maximum number of Kimpachi shards. And I knew that Kimpachi was absolutely key, kind of thing. So I was like, anybody who gets all those is going to have an advantage for the rest of the game. So I was like, okay, so I am just so close to that, but so are like three other people, and there are only two more slots. So I was like, if I pay $1, I will unlock the base package, which will include a ton of free stuff, including a Bakia character. And I was like, okay, that will probably get me most, if not all the way there. So I did that, and it got me most of the way there. And I, went and started upgrading him and everything, and it got me so close, but not quite there. And I gave it time, and it was the end of that night, and like everybody was right on that borderline. I was like, it's still sketch, and now there's only one slot left, and two of us competing for it. I was like, all right, I'm letting myself fall down this rabbit hole, so let's go. There's this $5 purchase over there. I'll grab that, and that'll kick me over. And I grabbed it, kicked me over. I got the Kimpachi shards, and yeah, I didn't spend any money for a while after that because I was not interested in doing anything because there wasn't anything that grabbed me or pulled me, kind of thing. I did keep on, participating in all the banners, but I would just get like the minimum kind of thing that I could do was free.
Like free currency, yeah.
Yeah, and I wasn't, specifically saving up with my free currency either. And then I was looking at it, and I, was looking in there. What would be the best way to spend money in here? Well, excuse me. I found that the best two deals were basically essentially subscription. One was a subscription, like basically you pay like I think it's $5 and you get a 30-day subscription of these paid currency kind of thing, and it was night and day over anything else. It's like you could pay $5 and get like I think it's like 250 plus 250 for your first purchase, but if you buy it again, you only get the 250. Or you could buy this one package that gives you, I think it's like 100 right off the bat, and then it gives you like 50 a day for like a month, and it turned out to be like giving you like I think like 2 or 3,000 over the month. I was like 2 or 3,000 versus 500. Okay, math is definitely there, and I knew that's what they wanted me to go to, because you put your bad deal there to sell your less bad deal, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
And
then there was a second one that was $15 that was even better than that one. So and you could get both of them together. So I got both of them together, and that was like $20 a month after that. Then then later on I was looking, and they had this one that was based off a level. I think I was level like 50ish at this point, and basically it was like at low levels it was like 600 every like 3 or so levels that you would get, and then it was like 1,000 for every 3 levels, and then it was like 1,500 and then 2,000, and and by that point it was like if I bought this package for $20 one time kind of thing, just right now it's going to give me I don't know like 10,000 of these things of this currency, and it's going to give me pretty large boost all the way throughout, kind of thing. And then I went ahead and got that, and then didn't spend anything for a while, and then I started noticing these weekly events grabbing my eye. Where it was these weapons were really valuable on certain characters and really worthless on anything else. So you really only needed them on the characters you were going to use, kind of thing. So, like, when I seen the Old Man Yamamoto one come up that I used all the time, I was like, yeah, I absolutely need his weapon. And it was, you had to spend $5 a day for 5 days in, in a 7-day period. And if you got all, did that 5 of the 7 days, then you would unlock that weapon for free. And plus, you would get these jewels that are really crucial to upgrading, but you can get them for free, a lot of them for free, but it takes time, and they are extremely, extremely valuable. One of the most valuable things in there, besides the weapon. So I was like, yeah, we could get more of those, kind of thing. And there went $25, and more of those popped up that I wanted. Events where I didn't have enough currency to go in there and get the banner I wanted, kind of thing, that I really, really wanted. So I'd spend a little bit of money there. And, for the most part, is like, I think all but the $15, renewal fee, every month on that one, and that $120 purchase, and I bought the season pass for $20 for season 2. I didn't buy it for season 1 because it was worthless. And I bought the one big package of like the $50 package of their rip-off deal, because I was just really needing that. Besides those like 4 or 5 purchases, they were all $5 or below. It was $5 or less here, there, and everywhere, kind of thing. And I had played from like, I think it was July, late July, till recently. And through all that, you wouldn't think that, spending $5 here or $5 there was any big deal. I knew it was going to be, but I let myself fall into it anyway, like I said, because, I'm trying to do that. And the thing is like, multiple times, I'm resistant to this kind of thing, and multiple times I put on the brakes, kind of thing. But then he would hook me and drag me farther, a few weeks later, kind of thing. Then I would put on the brakes again. It would hook me and drag me in a few weeks later, kind of thing. Mainly through the banners, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And the weapons that would pop up every now and then for something I really wanted. And, or some pain in the ass guy that's, bullying me, and I need to, get stronger than him so he stops freaking bullying me, kind of thing. And people being an asshole in that kind of game is a way for them to make money. So, they have no reason to stop any assholes or even prevent them, mitigate them. They welcome and want all the assholes that will bully and pick on people that they can get in those games. Of course. Because that just helps them, kind of thing. And they specifically, put in mods and everything and give them tons of currency and everything for them to bully you, kind of thing. And, throughout all that, falling down the rabbit hole there for, what is this, 5 months? 4 months? 4 months. About maybe 4.5. Something about that, like that. But all that with, putting on the brakes several times, not being addictive and everything, but letting myself, be hooked and then not be able to stop it to a point. After all that, I think it was something like I spent like $450 or something like that. Which is crazy, considering that I was putting on the brakes, and I am, several times in that, and I am not one who falls victim to this kind of thing. and even though I am not one of the people who fall victim to that, I let it grab me at first, and once it hooked me, it was very hard to get out of that mindset, because that competitive mindset set in to where I want to beat this game. You know, I want to finish this game. I want to be the best there ever was and catch them all. You know,
There you go.
and you know that same kind of thing just kept on dragging me farther and farther down. You know, I wanted to be the best I could for my guild and help my guild out. You know, and help us get higher up in the rankings, kind of thing. I want to be higher up in the rankings. But I'm not trying to spend all my money. I'm just trying to spend a couple dollars at a time. Here and there, just nothing, But, is $450 for a mobile game nothing? I mean, that was the $1 or $2 at a time.
There's a great philosophical question for the day there.
Yeah.
And before I talk about my thoughts and experience, to Amir's comment about limitations of input on mobile, I think that is a big one, and probably one that keeps me from playing a lot of mobile games myself. It's kind of hard to tell because of the camera. I have very big hands, so like my hands just kind of dwarf my smartphone. So trying to play anything that's very action oriented or very button focus is annoying for me, and I much rather have a gamepad right here. It's why when I play Genshin Impact, I went obviously for the PlayStation or even the PC, because I need that feel. I need that tactile feel of it. And it does raise that question of, if we do see kind of more third generation mobile games pick up, will they be transferred to other platforms? And if so, they're going to need to have UIs either designed originally for it or be redesigned for it. Because, again, if I'm sitting at a keyboard and mouse or on gamepad, I don't want a gesture-based UI. That doesn't work for me. It's very annoying to do that with a mouse.
Mm-hmm. And to answer Thorne's question, it was about 4.5 months.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a couple dollars at a time. And with putting on the brakes several times during that. And not having the addictive personality to that kind of thing. Being somebody who's virtually immune to it, but let myself fall down the rabbit hole at the beginning. But once you start tumbling, it's very, very hard to stop.
Yeah. So, for me, I think I have a lot more, again, like I have this very big resistance to spending a lot of money in little bits, because of the fact that, I had to budget myself so much for the last 10 years with doing game wisdom and, living month to month like that.
Same here, but he still got me once I let myself start tumbling down.
And I think part of it for me is that I have to justify spending the money.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I think, kind of like a little bit of the weirdness of my psychology. That I can throw $2-3 here and there, and also I'm spending like $30 on random games on Fanatical or Greenman or Steam, because I can attribute that to the work I do with game wisdom. Every bad game I play could be a potential article or a video, or doing a stream of it for you guys. Like, I can see that there's extra value. Even if I only play that game one time for maybe 30 minutes, I can attribute that to the work that I do. For mobile stuff, it is like pulling teeth for me to spend money in these games. And part of it, I think, has to do with what that purchase gives you. Like, I can tell you guys right now that the whole spending money for premium currency, no, I have never done that. I have no interest in ever doing that. That is just completely the antithesis of my thought process. So when I do spend money in these games, it has to be on something quantifiable. It has to be something that I can say, I am getting this for it. And I don't mean this in terms of a random purchase. I mean, I'm getting something of actual product. So for me, I spent a few dollars when I played Marvel Strike Force. I think it was like $4 in that game to get shards of a character that I really wanted. And then after doing that, it turned out that that character was just horrible. Like the game was just not built for that strategy in mind. That just completely soured me on spending money ever again in that game. And then lately, I just spent $15 in Illusion Connect, and what they did was they have the whole VIP system. And what I like is it's a one-time purchase that basically gets me free summons for life. So that $15 investment gets me, you know, the longer I play, it means that I'm going to basically earn that money back. Or I can attribute that to essentially I'm spending $15 to buy this game. But again, the point for me is that I can't spend money on the hope of getting something. And this is why, again, like when you watch people who stream mobile games and they spend, thousands of dollars, I don't think I could ever do that. And I guess, like, for you, Shark, do you feel the same way on that?
Yeah, I mean, like, everything you said is pretty much the same way I do it. My value in doing this was I was specifically,
Yeah.
looking for the knowledge for what's down the rabbit hole. I can see the rabbit hole from the outside, but what am I missing from the inside, kind of thing. And so that was my value from going down that rabbit hole and everything. But yeah, I mean, like, even when I was doing that kind of thing, I would not spend money on that kind of thing. I spent money on guaranteed things and whatnot, and like even the little gotcha system they have in there is still guaranteed, kind of thing. It's I guess you'd call it procedural gotcha, where every tenth box basically gives you a character. You can get a full character, and if you already have that full character, it's converted into shards. But like you can also get a full character in the 9 before it. But and I've done some spins that I've gotten 4 or 5 characters from on 10. Mm-hmm. But I've always considered that I'm getting my one free spin a day, one discounted spin a day kind of thing, and then I'm done. Until a banner pops up kind of thing, and then I'm spending 10, 10, 10, 10. And once you spend, I think it's like 200 of them, you'll get you'll have almost a 5-star version of that character that you'll be able to then, go in and just, be really good with her.
Yeah, and one thing that we see from a lot of third-generation mobile games, specifically with their gacha systems, is that they will have very low summoning chances. If you remember, Genshin Impact has a 0.06% chance to get their 5-star or SSR, however you want to rank them, characters. In Illusion Connect, the one that I'm playing, it's a 2% chance. And what these games will also do is that they will have guarantee results after X amount of pulls. In Illusion Connect, what they do for their kind of, I guess, quote-unquote, the marquee banners, that if you pull 20 times, they will guarantee an SSR automatically. As soon as you get to that 20th pull, that's going to be an SSR. And if you pull 70 times on that banner, they're just going to give you that high-rank character for free at that point. And that kind of design, again, it's meant to give everybody a chance. Because I'm sure Shark will agree, that if somebody spends $5,000 to get this one specific character and they don't show up at all, they are never going to play that game ever again.
They're going to be going to the bank and getting their $5,000 back too.
Yeah. So by having these kinds of pity systems or these guarantees, it's very weird. I want to get your thoughts on this, Shark.
Well, it's procedural RNG, like we talked before.
And what I want to ask you is, it feels like some of these more third-generation mobile games, despite having very low drop chances, in a way, they still feel fairer to free players than some of the older examples.
Yeah, they have definitely upped their free game, and I have always said that was key to a game like that, because the number one cause of death of those games is all the free players quit. Because when all the free players quit, then there is nobody for the paying players to bully. except for other paying players, which causes other paying players to quit, which then causes them to not have anybody to bully, which then they become the target from the bigger ones, and then they get bullied, and then they quit, and then then they just keep on cannibalizing each other until there's only one person left, and then they quit because it's boring because there's nobody else playing.
Yeah, I know Ramin had a story where he basically had to compete with somebody who was just spending all the money to become like the top person in the server, and then it was like, okay, so what now do I do?
Yeah.
And I think what we're seeing a lot of mobile games learn is that player-generated content, as in the players providing the content for themselves, is kind of the best money-making strategy. Because when you have players competing with each other, see who's the best, they're going to spend big to prove, I'm better than you.
Yeah. And, I mean, that's going to be an aspect of my current game. But, I'm doing it in a way that's trying to not be abusive kind of thing. Because, card games are competitive, right? And people want to do that. But, like, I built the card game around strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And, kind of like the RPG build kind of thing. You want to have a strategy to go into your deck building to build this deck. But unlike the mobile RPG version kind of thing, strategy is just, build it and then it'll automatically happen. It's you build the deck and then you build it based off of many different factors, both in power as in odds of drawing it out of your deck kind of thing. So you can control the RNG basically. And then now you have to place placement and everything. Now it becomes like a game of chess almost kind of thing. So there's like so many layers of strategy here. And then there's the upgrading of cards, which, some people will see as pay to win, even though it's basically free. It's not free. It's cost a little bit to prevent people from going wild and screwing themselves over with it. But, basically it's like 50 cents to upgrade an entire deck kind of thing. And, because you're only allowed one upgraded card for every 5 cards kind of thing. So, in a deck. And the reason why we, and so if they have all these upgraded cards that they can't use because you can't unupgrade the cards, then you end up screwing yourself over. Hence why we want to put that small price in there. And by the way, 50 cents you can get in free currency probably in a few times a day kind of thing. Yeah. But like that is you can take one key card and be like, this is the real weakness to my strategy, and I am going to change this one thing and get rid of that weakness and do worlds change on your deck kind of thing. And all these different layers of strategy that stacks on top of each other, after another, after another, and after another. You can go on the internet and get a deck builder or whatever, get a build guide and whatnot. It's still not going to make you a great player. Yep, it'll make you maybe better, but it also might make you worse because your play style and how you play may make that deck may make you worse kind of thing. And that's the point, is I wanted to make it competitive based off of strategy. I don't want it to be pay to win. I don't want it to be manipulative. I don't want it to have any kind of systems like that. But at the same time, I need to make sure that we're able to keep the studio open by making money.
Yeah. And that is, again, another very big point about these kinds of third-generation mobile games. And like I said earlier, that in the games that I've played, one character doesn't magically make you the best player on the server. If we were talking about, second-generation mobile games, 5-6 years ago, these games very well do have that one character or that one purchase that will always just like super boost you up in terms of PvP or the missions or whatever. Contest of Champions suffers from that as well, that the monetization is actually locked or tiered to progression. So you literally cannot play this game with 3 or 4 star characters. You must have 5 or 6 stars to see it all the way through to the end. And what we have with like games like Genshin Impact, Illusion Connect, or Sir Lane, I'm assuming with Bleach as well, is that again, it's about your strategy. Any character by itself is useless.
Well, I
And it's
wouldn't say
about
that.
what?
I wouldn't say any character by themselves are useless.
Well, not like leveled up or not ranked or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah. Because like I know when Old Man Yamamoto came out, if you had you know, if you had just like a 4 star of him and you had him, leveled up, which was you can only get that with free currency stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could just wipe out the entire opponent back then with just him. You would just enter battle. He would automatically start off with his rage attack, and he would use his rage attack and just kill the entire enemy.
Yeah. And you have to be very careful about that. That's another thing that mobile developers have to concern themselves with, is just introducing power for power's sake. If you just release a character who's better than everybody else, then you run into that situation of the haves versus the have-nots, and a lot of people are going to quit. Marvel Strike Force has several of those characters that if you don't have them, and let's say you're in a guild and you're trying to be competitive, they will demand that you get those characters, or they're going to kick you out because of just how good they are, how much they're required.
Mm. And that gets into the social aspect and the social norms manipulating you into that kind of thing. And we've seen that same thing on Fortnite, where kids would be bullied at school for not having the cosmetics, the latest cosmetics. Yeah. And poor kids either end up getting bullied or they end up doing something bad, stealing money and getting in big trouble because of that, or becoming potentially career criminals, kind of thing. All because of Fortnite. Cosmetics. It's just cosmetics. There's no manipulation there. It's just cosmetics. There's nothing wrong with that.
This is why I don't do the whole peer pressure. I refuse to join any kind of public guild in any kind of mobile game ever again, because I don't want people demanding that I play a game. That's not going to happen anymore. And to Amir's comment about does games like Fortnite and Call of Duty entering the mobile market mean mobile and tablet could become a more attractive platform for AAA? I would say yes. And we've seen some AAA developers have ports. There you go. Thank you, Thorn. That they do have ports. I know there's an XCOM 2 port coming to tablets very soon. And I think it is viable. Again, like we've said, mobile and tablet design today is not the same as it was 5 to 10 years ago. And these platforms certainly have the power. The question, again, though, is there a market for those games? Could you release a $60 game on a tablet and get people to buy it in the same way you would on console or PC?
Yeah. You do have to join the guild in Neon Continuum, though. You gotta join my guild, and I will tell you to get good at buying cards.
There you go. And like we've said, like with these kinds of mobile games today, it is not the same kind of hook as they were 5, 6+ years ago. That in those titles, it's essentially about that chase to be number one, which means you're always going to have to get the best thing. In today's titles, there is no best thing. And this is what makes them very attractive to people like Shark and I, or to more core and hardcore gamers, that there is gameplay that we can dig into. Like Ark Knights, in my opinion, is probably one of the deepest of the mobile games, but it has such an annoying monetization system that kind of drove me away from it.
I think, I think having that's why I think that, I hope that the model I'm building right now will be the inspiration for models to come after that, because, like, it's consumer friendly. It gets out of the way, kind of thing. It doesn't become annoying, and it's arguably could make more money than the whole pay to win and abusive models, but only time will tell on that one.
Yep.
But like it's built in a way to be good to the player. Be good to the free players and be good to the players, because the way we're doing that is there is no paid currency. The where all the value, where like you can buy like card packs and like starter decks and boxes of starter decks and boxes of boosters and everything with cash, but like that's all you can buy with cash. Now then, the only things you can't buy without cash is basically bulk things. Boxes of boosters and boxes of starters. Because you shouldn't be able to get a discount just because you saved up for longer, kind of thing, on your free currency. But where the main sales are actually at is everything is available for sale with the free currency, and there's not enough free currency in there to buy everything, and that's why we sell more of the free currency. So it's all about making the free currency valuable, so that the free players have all the value right there at their hands. They just don't have an unlimited number of it. Where paying players, as long as they can keep on paying, they have an unlimited amount, kind of thing. So it allows the players, if they want to buy cosmetics, they can buy all the cosmetics and just run very minimum deck, because that's how they enjoy the game. They enjoy the cosmetics, and they just enjoy playing with the basic decks. Or they could do I'm a really competitive player and I want to play at tournaments and be like top ranked, so they're going to like invest everything into being top ranked. Building that one top ranked deck and getting rid of all their other cards. Where other people are like, they got the Pokemon syndrome and they want to catch them all, kind of thing. So they want one of every card. So they're going to, not focus on building a deck, but just focus on getting one of every card and get rid of all the other ones, so they can get more free currency and get the rest of the cards.
Yeah.
And they get to pick how they want to play, and they can play like that on their own, kind of thing, for free, basically, at least in theory, as long as that's how it ends up balanced. I aim to balance that way. But the thing is if they want multiple things at once, or they just want more of a thing. I mean, they could go half deck, half collecting. They could go half deck, they could go almost all deck with just a little bit of cosmetics, kind of thing, but slack off a little bit on the deck. But if they want full on everything, kind of thing, if they want the deck, the cosmetics, the collecting, and all that stuff all at the same time, which is all enjoyable parts of the game, they're going to have to pay. If they want to be good at all of them. I mean, they could suck at all of them, kind of thing. And, maybe that's, maybe they want to be a jack of all trades, master of none. And that's fine, too. I mean, they can take any route they want, kind of thing. But, to take the completionists in all the ranks, they're going to have to pay, kind of thing.
And, again, with kind of how these games are structured, that there is no one path to playing this game. It's not a case of, again, give me $100, you'll be in top 50 of the PvP server. You have to learn these games. You have to be able to figure them out. And like with the Illusion Connect example, like what was funny was I bought the $15 purchase last night. I did a roll on a banner to get a character that I wanted because I missed one that I couldn't get. And I got that character as the first one on a completely off banner. So again, my mobile gotcha luck seems to hold up.
Yeah, I mean, your Heart of the Cards worked when you played Continuum, because you were playing against the top player that we had, something, And he was specifically going in there to destroy you after you beat Board Fan.
Mm.
And Board Fan, I think he's more middle tier kind of thing. And he was going in there absolutely to destroy you. And he had the lead for most of it. And then you hearted the cards right at the end. You're like, oh, I've lost this, and everything. I was like, I don't know. You could always draw what was it, Reclaim, the name of that card?
Yeah.
And do it. And then you just heart of the cards, Reclaim, and you're like, oh, okay, I'll use this here, pull that one up, put this one down here. I'm like, way in the lead now, and then I'll do this here and this here. And now I just completely destroyed him.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like those, when you have like the super competitive person playing against a guy who like doesn't really care, like, oh, I'm just gonna play this and this. It's like, you just beat me, and they throw like the table.
Yeah.
All right, Thorne, see you later. And I think we will be wrapping these up in the next few minutes because we're just about over our 2 hours. But yeah, and again, what we see about mobile games today, I think this will be like the final topic that I want to kind of end on, is long term. Because this is obviously very important. Like games like Genshin Impact, Azure Lane, Arknights, etc., the boost these banners and these very strong openings, it gives them a very strong foundation to build off of. But one of the big things about third generation mobile is that if you want for these games to succeed, they need to think long term. And Shark brought this up earlier about if you're building a game like this, you need to know from day one what your monetization strategy is going to be. This is where we kind of bring back in a discussion of live service or games as a service kind of design. That the problem that Marvel's Avengers had is that how is that monetization really a part of the core gameplay, which in that one was the single player? The answer was it wasn't. Mm-hmm. And trying to convince somebody to spend money on something that they have no interest in, they're not going to do it. What we see from these titles, or the ones that stick around, is that they know where their money is. It is coming up with unique characters, coming up with special situations that you can make use of them, and building out that customization. So this is why you have people who are going to spend big on every new banner in Genshin Impact. But even with that said, there still needs to be content to go with it. And you can't just keep selling people on more power, because they're going to get tired of it. They need something to do in these games.
Mm-hmm. And to Ethical Revolution's comment, like these, people who are, weak to this thing will get bitten hundreds of times, over and over and over. It's not even, not just a twice kind of thing. They can learn their lesson, and they will still fall back into that trap. And the fact is, only a few governments are cracking down on loot boxes and whatnot. And the fact is loot boxes is just a small part of any of this. Mm-hmm. Because they can lose the loot boxes and be, just as addictive. They would just, probably pull in a little bit less money. It'll be, they're still just as addictive kind of thing, but they're only going to pull in, $100 million instead of $110 million because there's no loot boxes.
Yep, and gotchas and banners like this are different from a loot box. Banners have a little bit more in terms of development, in terms of what characters can show up, as we talked about earlier, the whole pity system as well. Loot boxes are very much just fire and forget. We're just going to put random stuff in it, and maybe you get something good, maybe you get something horrible, and mostly you're going to get something horrible.
Yeah, and and I'm pretty sure that gacha does not fall under most of the laws that are banning loot boxes.
That I don't know. That would be a Ramin question to ask him, because I know he is following this a lot more than I think either of us at the moment.
Yeah. It would be, and it all depends on the government too, because like certain governments are cracking down on different things. Like I mean, if you look at the U.S. government, they're cracking down on good games. They're cracking down on every game that's on the mobile market except for like three.
Yeah,
Because
and
it's like if it's free to play, it's gone. If it does anything but a subscription model or just paid straight up front, it's gone. If it's DLC, it's gone. Like they're trying to just destroy the entire gaming industry with their law.
yeah, and here's another important point. In all the games that I have played, they do list drop rates and percentage chances because that was a huge sticking point for a lot of second generation mobile games where they wouldn't reveal what is the actual drop chance of something to happen.
Now then, we can compare loot boxes to card packs. Like you have your traditional card packs, like in Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff, physical card packs. And all those are perfectly legal because they all go straight through the gambling commission because they're physical products. That's the reason why people have gotten away with it in the digital market because it's digital and it doesn't have. There's nothing digital in the gambling commission. It's only physical. But the Magic the Gathering and all that stuff have to go through the gambling commission in the U.S. kind of thing to pass. And they have to list their odds and everything, and they have to not only list their odds, but they have to have guaranteed rarities because like there can't be a odds of a rarity kind of thing. It has to be the value of what you're getting. You know that you're getting 7 uncommons, 3 commons, 1 rare, and 1 full card that could be anything from a common to an extra rare, but it's going to be a full every time. So you know that it's a set value of a full card. It's all set values. Now then, which versions of those cards can be random kind of thing, but they cannot be random rarities because when you're selling the things, you're selling it as the value of the rarity.
Yeah, this is one of the things that drives me crazy about a lot of mobile purchases where I spend money and it's an unknown value. If I buy 5,000 premium stars or diamonds, what does that actually get me? Who knows? I could spend 5,000 diamonds and get 10 amazing characters. I could spend that and get 50 useless characters that I just basically just took my money outside and burned it in the backyard.
Exactly.
And what we see with the whole gacha system today, they're basically saying, okay, you have a chance of getting this great character. It's a 2% chance. If you give us 50 purchases, 70 purchases, 100 purchases, that's guaranteed. That is yours no matter what. And that is a very big difference. It doesn't sound that big of a difference, but saying that there is a guarantee that if I spend X amount of money, it is mine no matter what.
It's a set maximum cost.
Exactly.
Where loot boxes have a infinite cost. You could spend all the money in the world. You could literally spend every last cent that exists on the planet and have a few trillion more printed up and never get the one thing you want because RNG is a cruel mistress.
I don't know anything about that.
Where, with the gacha systems, when they have these systems in there like that, you spend, you know that if you spend, I don't know, $70 kind of thing, you know that you're going to get what you want. You could possibly get what you want for less than $70, but for $70 or less, you will get that thing. So you know that there is that at least maximum set, value. Although that does not work for physical products because that still wouldn't pass through the gambling commission kind of thing. Like Magic the Gathering does.
I want to add to that point that for the longest time, mobile and AAA developers were fighting tooth and nail against that, about having a maximum spend on their content.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw how that turned out. It hurt a lot of these games.
Yeah, because when you have it like that, not only does it hurt the consumer, it hurts the game because in terms with these free to play games and whatnot, hurting the consumer chases them off, which hurts your game.
Yes.
The key is keeping them all on, which is the reason why my model that is set to have everything purchasable with free currency is possibly going to be the best thing ever existed because it's going to hold on to all the players at at a huge degree kind of thing. Bridge that gap, that paying players have, and then with all the strategy in the game, it's skill based rather than not skill based, and and it's one of these things where it's consumer friendly. It can potentially make more players more money, and just check every flag that's out there that is good and uncheck almost all that are bad.
Yeah, and here's another point about having that maximum spend, why gotchas are kind of superior to loot boxes. Because of that, it means that there will come a point with any banner that you don't need to roll on it anymore. If you get the 4 or 5 or 2 marquee characters out of that banner, you're done. It's not like, oh, I have to keep spending for other stuff. But here's the point. There's always going to be a new banner. And like we said, with having continued content, these games have continued gotchas. Ideally, I think it's like once a week, there is usually going to be a new banner. And again, that's the point. They want to always have something kind of dangling out there for you to try and get to. Maybe this banner has a character you have no interest in. Okay, but I'm sure somebody out there is going to want that. And at some point in the future, your ticket is going to come up.
Mm-hmm. And to Ethical's point, I think you might be confusing things because Magic, Hearthstone, and Gwent are very, very different games. Where Magic, they've gone through the Gambling Commission and everything. They are legally not loot boxes and everything, and they are perfectly legal in every way. And their digital version is the same thing, but it's arguably more consumer friendly because you get free card packs just for showing up at the card shop, basically, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Where Hearthstone is very different. Hearthstone is loot boxes. Hearthstone and when you buy a Magic pack, in person or in the digital version, you get like 13 cards. You know exactly what rarities you're going to get. It's all clear, common, uncommon, rare, ultra rare or whatever. In Hearthstone, they're doing a multiple level of manipulation. They have the commons, and then they took the uncommons and they renamed them to rares. Mm-hmm. And then they took the rares and they renamed them to, I think it's legendaries, and then they took the ultra rares and renamed them to mythics, I think. I may be confusing them, but it's something like along that lines. So now when you open up a pack, they only give you 5 cards. They're not giving you like 13 or something like Magic the Gathering. They're giving you like 5. Mm-hmm. And when those 5 come up, one of them is guaranteed to be a rare, which, we talked about before. Rares are actually uncommon. So you're guaranteed 1 uncommon. That's all you're guaranteed. The other 4 are 100% loot boxes. And they're not even the good kind of, the normal kind of loot boxes. I was about to say good, but there is no good loot boxes. They're not the legit kind of loot box where there's just specific odds that you'll have, grab something. It is specifically algorithm in monitoring your account and what your playstyle is to if it's going to give you a card, because it's going to monitor and see, what it needs to do to keep you playing. Like if it thinks that to keep you playing, you're going to need this you're going to need one good card in the thing that you want, then it's going to give you one good card in the thing you want. But
Hmm.
if it feels like you just need a rarity card, it will give you a rarity of a card that is really good, but it'll be in something you never use and will be completely worthless to you. But you'll be
Hmm.
like, hey, at least I got it, kind of thing. It will do what you need, what it needs, what it feels you need to keep on playing. And
Hmm.
at that, it's going to give you the absolute minimum level that it can in those four other cards. And it is 100% manipulation, and it is arguably the most scummy one of all of them out there.
Yeah.
The loot boxes,
But
period.
I do have to get going next few minutes. We kind of went over our time, but I think this was a very fascinating discussion. And I guess for my final point, I kind of just want to summarize some of the things that we've talked about over the last hour or so. That what we see from third generation mobile and from the mobile games that are working today is that they're aiming to appeal to the free player as much or maybe even as more so than the paying one. That means having content that everyone can do. It means giving them enough currency that they can, get in the fun of, the gotchas.
Mm-hmm.
As Shark said, it's not about, being forced to do everything. It's about being able to do everything for free. But if you want to get more of it, and you want to do it, to the extreme, not to save the extreme, just the extreme extreme, you gotta spend money.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, these games are fairer and less manipulative than some of the older or even some of the more popular examples. And as Amir was talking about, as we were saying, that we're entering that very weird period where mobile games are kind of stepping up, onto their own. And I will bet money that major publishers right now are keeping an eye on Genshin Impact to see how well that game does cross platform. Because if that game is still doing well 6 months to a year from now, we're going to see somebody like EA or Activision try their own hand at it.
Yeah, and to Emir's point there, any game that is focused on whales is focused on dying.
Yeah.
That's just the thing because they're focused on whales. That's focusing, kicking out the free players, which is then cause the dolphins to become the targets, which then kicks them out, which then causes the lower whales to become the targets, and they will just
And,
keep on cannibalizing each other until there's only one left in the entire server, and then he cannibalizes himself because there's nothing else to do.
yep. And for those games specifically, usually means there's not really any meat to this content as well. Because it's
Mm-hmm.
just entirely focused on that power chase. And like we said, power is very attractive. There's no denying it. But customization is far more alluring.
Mm-hmm.
To Shark's whole rabbit hole example of going for a bleed based build. Again, if it was just straight up, give me $100, I'll get a 5-star character that beats the game. That's not all that exciting. It is just you spending money for a short term advantage.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is if you're really good at these games and whatnot, you can be a free player and
Hmm.
still just be really really strong. I have been known to like I said, I have played tons of these games before without spending money, and I was known as the free playing ace basically because I would be in the top 10 every time, and I would just be sitting here owning tons and tons of paying players with the second best free player being in 70 or 80 kind of thing, and I would be in the top 10, and everybody's like, how in the hell did you get that high without paying anything? And the whole point is I'm maxed. I applied strategy out the yin yang, and I
Yep.
figured out the best way to spend my currencies that I could get for free in the best way to make me as strong as possible.
Yep. And when I play Marvel Strike Force, like I said, I only spent $4, and at one point I was top. 200 on the global server or whatever the server was I was playing on, with kind of my like I didn't spend heavily in that game, and I still managed to get three of the best characters through just pure playing it. But you actually remind me of another really big point that I almost forgot. Another aspect of these third generation mobile games, it's about the short term play, not about grinding for months and months and months on end. That's another thing that AAA developers try to do. You remember For Honor, that in order for a free player to get everything at launch, they will have to play the game daily for 3 years straight.
Mm-hmm.
And no, that's not how things work. And again, I think kind of like my main point, you have to think about the free players. You have to make the game as alluring and as attractive and as fun to play for them. Because if they stick around, it means the whales are going to stick around. It also means that at some point, those free players are going to throw you money, whether it's because they feel like supporting you or because you finally hit them with that perfect deal, that perfect monetization purchase or that banner that they absolutely need to have.
Or they just played so long, they've sunk so much time into it. They're like, I might as well.
Yes. And when these games work, they stick around. The other game from Genshin Impact is still going strong. Arknights, I think, had its year or maybe 2 year anniversary. And again, when we say 1 year, 2 year, it doesn't sound that big. But when we talk about mobile, which is usually known for very fast burnout rates, a 2 year old game that's still going strong is, two thumbs up right there.
Yeah, like the Bleach game that I went down the rabbit hole with. Like I said, I played that. I think I got in on day 1 or day 2 of that server. I can't remember. Something like that. I got in really close to the beginning of it. And it is now like 4.5 months old or so after I put that money into it. And the server's almost a ghost town kind of thing. There are, we were the top alliance early on, few months in, or probably like 2 weeks in or so from there forward kind of thing. But now, like most of our players are inactive, and we've kicked a lot of those, and we've recruited new players, and most of them are inactive. And like, there used to be, I don't know, like 10, 15 really massive guilds kind of thing, and like hundreds of small ones. Now, there are technically still small ones, like with like one person in it, but there's only 2 big guilds left, because all the other guilds have either died completely or they've shrunk down to like 1 or 2 people kind of thing. And the 2 big guilds that are left, mine and the other one, they can hold like, I think like 40 or 50 players, and like maybe only 30 in ours is active, and probably like, I don't know, 20 or less are active in the other. So like, we could probably all combine into just one single guild and have all the servers in a single guild and claim victory for the world.
Yep. So I think that's everything that I have to say. Do you have any final thoughts to end the stream on?
Well, maybe a recap. We don't, on what we want to do. We want to, as game developers, we want to cater to the free players. We want to, give them, we don't want to put anything behind paywalls. We really don't want to do time sensitive stuff. Maybe a little bit might be okay. But when I say a little bit, I'm talking about like Halloween events, Christmas events, stuff like that, a login, once a day login bonus kind of thing, stuff like that is probably fine, but don't put like, this item is only purchasable from this day to this day kind of thing, and have it be like a short week kind of thing. Now then, if you want to put up, I don't know, what's your thoughts on this one? If you put up an item that is for sale for a month kind of thing, and they have a month to get it kind of thing, and then another item comes out the next month, and another item comes out the next month. But then every month after that, you can go back and buy all those items. So it's a time limited first purchase, but then basically time limited early access kind of thing. And then you can get the full purchase. You can purchase it at any point later after it comes out of quote unquote early access purchasing.
That is I think that walks a very fine line. Because Marvel Strike Force did that. That if what they would do is they would release a set of characters with the final character being like the ultimate one, but you would need other characters to get access to it. And you literally, as a free player, could not get that character, even if you were the best one on the server, without spending money. And eventually, through play, you may be able to get that, but that will be months and months ahead. And if that one character is, the new meta, it kind of, holds you hostage to spend that money.
Yeah. Well, what about when it's just a part of something? Because like you're referring to an RPG that has like, maybe like 3 to 6 characters kind of thing. What about something that has like hundreds and hundreds?
Again, it really depends on what the power level and what that character does. Like with Genshin Impact, I know that the first banner, that Win Archer guy, you can't get that character anymore. Like he's not added to the normal rotation. Now, he may get put onto a banner at some point in the future, but for all intents and purposes, that content is locked from everyone who didn't get access to it.
I'm not referring to banners or anything like that. I'm talking about just straight up purchase. Purchase and then later that you can get it for free.
How much later are you talking about?
Probably a couple months, a month.
Again, I think we need more detail in terms of the design of the game and the design of the items to really say yes or no.
Yeah. But something like that.
Examples of it, but I'm sure there's also very manipulative examples as well.
Yeah, but something like that would be on the borderline kind of thing. You would need to be careful with something like that. But there's you definitely don't want to go over the border kind of thing. And you definitely want to appeal to the free players.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you need to do stuff that is going to keep your studio alive. Now, keeping your studio alive is very, very different than making billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah.
So, your aim should not be to make all the money. It should be make the money you need to make. And maybe a little bit more, but don't be greedy. Because greed will in turn screw you over. Because greed is the reason why games targeted whales, which cause them to make less money. Greed, greed is, it will make you make less money. But you don't need to be I wouldn't say greedy. You don't need to be too ungreedy. What would be the term? You don't need to just say, here's everything, I don't need to make money.
Again, it's about running a business.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's not about you becoming millionaires or billionaires. It's about keeping the lights on. And again, that is a good segue. We could talk about indie developers. The idea that I don't care if I ever make money. I just want to make games. Usually ends up going horribly wrong.
And they're not able to make games anymore.
Yeah.
Because they didn't make money to keep on making games.
But we started earlier and we ended up going later just because of how great this conversation was. And I do have to get going for tonight. But I think this was another really solid talk. We need to figure out what next week's topic is going to be.
Yeah. Does anybody have any suggestions for next week's topic?
Yeah. And I will update my Discord for our topic of the week later tonight, and you can talk more about it there or on Sharky's Discord.
And there will be links to my Discord and Josh's Discord in the description, as well as both of our Twitters, both of our YouTube channels. By the way, this is being streamed live both on his channel and on mine. So you could be watching it on either one right now.
Yeah. I will be back later tonight for our regular game stream, and we will be back next Sunday around 4:30 for our next show. All right. Anything else to add, Shark?
No, I think that's it. Just, come and join our Discords and subscribe, to our YouTube channels. And, if you want to actually be able to catch the streams live, which in my opinion is the best way to do it, the only way YouTube is going to tell you is if you ring the bell, although you can potentially get notified in the Discords if the bots and everything are working.
All right. Well, that is going to do it. So come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where is in the art and science of games. Until next time, everybody, take care.
See ya.